la seule voie qui assure notre avenir, celle dont je veux vous parler aujourd'hui, c'est à nous, à vous de la tracer. C'est la refondation d'une Europe souveraine, unie et démocratique. Ayons ensemble l'audace de frayer ce chemin. Un budget ne peut aller aussi qu'avec un pilotage politique fort, par un ministre commun et un contrôle parlementaire exigeant au niveau européen. Seule la zone euro, avec une monnaie forte et internationale, peut offrir à l'Europe le cadre d'une puissance économique mondiale.
President Emmanuel Macron has given the most integrationist, pro-European speech of any French leader since François Mitterrand in the 1980s. He clearly thinks that with Britain on the way out of the EU and Angela Merkel weakened after this weekend's German elections, that this is France's moment to lead in Europe. And he came out with a really hard-hitting and radical speech full of ideas. Mr. Macron came up with a cascade of initiatives ranging across the field, really, from a European military intervention force, a European public prosecutor for going after terrorists and organised crime, to common corporate and environmental taxes to fund a much bigger EU budget. He was even radical enough to suggest that it was time to break the French taboo and go for a really big, far-reaching overhaul of farm policy, something that France has resisted for decades. Intriguingly, Mr. Macron soft-pedalled on his Eurozone reform agenda. This had been billed as the centrepiece of his speech, but in the end, he didn't really come up with any of the ideas that would have really angered Berlin, such as Euro bonds, which would have involved German taxpayers carrying a lot more of the burden for the Eurozone. And instead, he opted for, or pushed for, a new bilateral treaty with Germany as the sort of linchpin of cooperation with Berlin. This was a much more energetic and innovative speech, I think, than many people had expected. But I think at the end of the day, you need consensus from lots of other governments and other leaders in Europe. And I think there's a risk, as ever, that this will be an ambitious speech from a French president that doesn't actually gain that much traction.